to Cody in case he wants to join. And we'll go from there. I think we're live probably on Facebook and YouTube now. Let's get it, make sure it's pushed to Instagram. There we go there. Live on Instagram. And let's see. Last thing. And we should be good to go. We'll probably keep it a little bit shorter today because I did not prepare anything for today's office hours. So we'll just chat up a little bit here and see if anyone drops any questions in, and then we'll go from there. Let me send this email to Cody Shaver and see if you. Was that talk about people don't have the right insurance? Yeah, it's probably not.
It's a good thing to start talking about.
Yeah, not the worst topic for us to go through. And say live now.
Yeah, just like spitball anecdotes.
Of like, yeah, it's not,
It's just
not a bad idea.
Like this policy had this problem.
Yeah.
Hang out.
You're gonna come hang out?
Yeah. Are we live?
We're live.
Well, I like the casual. I'm like the background.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hide.
You're right here, and then I just.
I'm not doing that.
No. I'm just gonna move. I'm gonna change our seating arrangement here. Be weird about it.
Look at this. Beautiful.
Here. Look at all the space we have now. Look at that. You just get all the way over here. The best way for us to do this. All right, look at that. Aaron is in town today. All the way in town. Let me get some more light on you. And see if anyone else is trying to hop on here. Cool. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We should be live on YouTube as well. And as always, this is Tugboat's office hours. We try to do this every week. We've missed a couple this last month, which is uncommon for us, but it's an opportunity for you to drop your questions. And if you have questions about your specific claim, even about your policy, you know, we're not agents, we're not brokers, but we have seen thousands of claims, those of us that help at Tugboat. And so if you have questions about how your policy might relate specifically to a claim, that's where we can speak probably best about it. So anyways, Aaron brought up, because it's been a topic of conversation for us internally quite a bit lately. But he said we should talk about how people have the wrong policy. And that can mean a lot of different things, but I think it's worth us exploring, because those of us that work in claims and support people through claims, right? So if you haven't been here before, if you're watching this and you're new to Tugboat or our office hours, I am a licensed public adjuster, used to be independent adjuster. Aaron has the same story, previous independent adjuster, licensed public adjuster. Rachel's a licensed independent adjuster. We've both, all three of us have written claims for dozens of insurance companies. We've supported people in negotiating their claims quite a bit, especially with the wildfires over this last year. And so when I say let's talk about policies and the issues that we see there, those can range from you have the right policy but the wrong amount of coverage, right? Or you have the wrong policy entirely. We were talking about this yesterday with someone. And like you have, it's some mix. Like you have a policy that might be good, but you opted out of coverages that were really important, whether or not you knew that you did, right? And so there are a ton of misconceptions that people also have about their insurance policy. They would assume any insurance policy would cover, and yet it doesn't work that way. So maybe we can just go through some of the greatest hits of what is wrong with people's insurance policies and go from there.
Well, I think a really good place to start is actually that last thing you said, because we're in the weeds and our users naturally get more informed.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked in a long time about kind of like the most fundamental misconceptions that a lot of homeowners will have when it comes to their insurance. It's like, oh, this is for really big things.
Yep.
And like things that, like, oh, I found out that my foundation's rotten.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's why I filed a claim. And like, it's all the time people think that that's what insurance is for. And like, that's what insurance covers. And it's all of the accidents and things. Well, no, those are accidents. Those are my problem. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like this inverted and like completely backwards like understanding of what.
Yeah, it doesn't come up. It doesn't always come up, but there's a story that I'll use as an example of what Aaron's saying. So this is actually an uncle of mine. He was older, and he, knowing that I help with claims, reached out and said, "Hey, I have this issue with my stucco on the outside of my house. It's falling off." And so in talking with him about it and having him send photos, it seemed like it was probably due to some rot behind the stucco, right? That some water had maybe gotten behind there over time. Maybe it was just not installed very well, and it was just kind of peeling off at the top of the wall outside of his house. And he had the same insurance company for decades, had never filed a claim ever, and had never and brought up instances when he probably should have filed a claim, like a roof or a tree fell on the roof, and XYZ, like these other things happened, and I've never filed a claim before, but now he is older. He doesn't want to spend the money to re-stucco the outside of his house. And he's like, so I just want to know how best to file this claim. And I was like, hold up. I don't think that this is covered under your insurance policy. And this isn't me saying like, I don't think it's going to be covered the way that you're going to communicate it. It's me saying to him, like, this is not covered by home insurance. Because what he was talking about, and I even explored it with him. I said, does it seem like it was caused by wind in any way? Did anything strike at, like, did anything fall on your stucco? What started this falling off? And it was really clear. It's like, oh no, I think it's just it's old, and I've had it for so long, and this is going to be a significant cost, and I don't want to pay for it. So I'm finally just going to file an insurance claim because I've never done it before. And he was really frustrated to learn that wasn't covered, and almost still filed a claim. He almost didn't trust me.
For sure. It's wild. Looks like we froze on
Facebook. Let's see if we froze anywhere else. How fast? Let's see.
Oh, there it is. It's back. We're good.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, it's a common story. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And even when I was working as an adjuster, you'd get claims for stuff, and you're just like, oh man, like that's not what this is for.
Yeah, that's not why we're here. So anyways, yeah, I think that's a good place to start. People have a misconception about what their insurance policy is for. It's for things that are sudden and accidental, right? That can be something that's smaller as long as it's over your deductible and within reason. So sometimes it doesn't seem like something major. It's a leak that only affected the flooring, but it's enough that you don't want to have to come out of pocket for the $5,000 to fix the flooring in that area. So it doesn't necessarily have to be really big. It just generally it is. Emily Bush just commented, Emily, you're here. We were waiting for you. And it took you longer than average to drop our first comment. And so we were becoming a little self-conscious. So appreciate it.
Emily's a perfect example with her comment.
Yeah.
Our users know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So Emily says, my mom asked us to review her homeowner's renewal because we now know too much about it and what questions to ask. Emily's one of our tugboat users who had damage from the wildfires. I'm sure she doesn't mind me mention that.
She's in here every
week talking about it. So anyway, Emily has been in the weeds negotiating with her insurance company and probably now knows far more than the average policyholder.
Definitely.
About
yeah, that is an absolute fact.
Yeah, certainly does. Hey, Cody Shaver's here. He'll be so helpful with this conversation.
How are you guys? Look at you and two in the same room.
Yeah,
we're both here.
You know where to find us.
Your video's off. If you want to join us, you've been in the office before, Cody. It's
yeah, I'll go right now. I'll go grab my stuff. I actually went to lunch with my wife today, and then are we live?
We are.
Oh, I went to lunch with my wife today, and then went to the barber, and he's like, "Do you want a facial?" And I was like, "Well, that's kind of a weird question." Yeah, sure. So my face feels like a baby's bottom right now.
That's great. I would love to get a facial. That sounds awesome.
That sounds really
yeah, he put a hot towel, and then he put this vibrating thing all over it, and then he put these little things over my eyes. Then he put a cold towel, and then a straight razor shave.
Yes.
And I was talking on the phone when he was giving me a straight razor, and he's like, "I'm not trying to be rude, but you're really getting close to getting cut right now." Like, all right.
It's pretty funny. Where this is obviously a very much of a side note, but I remember the first time I went to a barber and had that same treatment of like a hot towel and someone straight razor shave and trim my beard. And I almost became immediately addicted to it. Like there's no other way that I'm going to handle my face anymore. This is too nice. They had beer on tap at the one that I went to. So I was like, I'm apparently going to go broke now. Once a week, I have to come here for my weekly shave. But Cody, we were just diving into a conversation about, we want to talk about people having the wrong insurance policy or the wrong conception about what their home insurance policy is. And so we were telling a story about, it was a family member of mine who called me about filing this claim because his stucco was falling off his house. And he had never filed an insurance claim. He'd had the same insurance for decades. And he's like, so I'm just finally going to file one because I don't feel like paying for this. And I had to break it to him like, hey, that's not covered, right? There's no wind damage. There's no tree file damage. It's just fallen off. It's deteriorated. It's old stucco. And he was really mad about it.
Yeah, they are.
But I think Aaron's made this point a lot over the last couple of years. And it's like that misconception is because people are poorly educated about what their insurance is for, right? I'm not kidding. We have had agents who have been agents for decades reach out to us and say, hey, I have this client, their claim was denied. Can you go ahead and help them out with it? And we have had to call the agent back and be like, they don't have coverage for this. You didn't give them coverage. That's why their claim was denied. And the agent had no awareness of this issue. So I see a couple different people have dropped in. I think Jesse Deanna, is that Jesse? I think that is. If you're in there, drop any stories you have about people having horrible policies. But anyways, I want to talk about about people having the wrong conception about their policies, people having the wrong insurance policies. The most clear one that we brought up yesterday to somebody was a homeowner that doesn't have a landlord policy when they should have a landlord policy. And so they're going to miss out on potentially on their loss of rents coverage if they don't have the right language in there for that.
We've also seen it inverted where they used to rent the house and then they stopped renting it and moved in, and now they have a landlord policy
and no contents coverage.
Yeah. And you don't find out till there's a claim. And wild stuff. And oftentimes it's like sometimes they thought they called their agent about it and like apparently just never ticked that box. We had it last week where Cameron and I thought we booked a flight and we didn't book it. So I mean, it happened.
I think things
and other times, like maybe they did call. They might even have an email, but it just doesn't matter. They don't have the policy.
And it's the fight with suing your agent over giving you the wrong policy is almost not worth it.
And a lot of people's agents are their friends.
Yeah, I mean, I just got off the phone with. It's so funny that we're talking about this. Rachel, you'll know the person I just got off the phone with because I had texted you about them. Client of ours, an elderly gentleman. Yeah. An elderly gentleman, and he was talking about how his agent, who is a captive agent, had told him, look, you need to keep paying. Now, I'm not an agent, so I don't know all the intricacies of this, but like you need to make sure you keep paying your same premiums throughout the rebuild of your house, or else they're going to drop you. You're not going to get a new policy or renew it. And so this gentleman is likely underinsured. And his agent told him, do not go and rebuild your house for any more than you were insured for, or else it's going to raise what your limits are going to be, which they always should have been raised. And if I have to request raising your limits, you're going to get non-renewed is what is going to happen. So you need to make sure.
Because like basically it's like I have to write a new policy if the limit's raised, and if I have to write a new policy, State Farm's not writing new policies in your market, so you're done.
And the so obvious from me hearing this secondhand, like there is a horrible incentive misalignment here between you and your agent. One, obviously they want you to keep paying premiums. That's the only way that they make commissions on this. And two, there are plenty of other carriers for you to talk to. And the fact that he would be knowingly telling you that you should go and again underinsure your house,
even though you're suffering the consequences of being underinsured right now.
Yeah. It was, and telling him no, and this isn't like a kind of a luxury neighborhood, telling him it'll be easy. He literally said it'll be easy to get your house rebuilt for $350 a square foot. Because his contractor just came back with an estimate that it was probably like $800 or $900 a square foot. It sounded like, And so anyways, it's just the things that people's brokers and agents who are their friends, who have been agents for decades, are willing to say,
with no malice.
No malice, yeah.
Just not.
Yeah, they're uneducated too. They don't really know.
Especially on the claim side, right? On what the consequences of this are, on what the rebuild costs are. So I have, we all have friends that are agents and brokers. We all know really good ones. It's like any other industry. There are great ones, there are horrible ones, and there's everything in between. But the consequences of having the wrong policy after a devastating loss are really, really steep. So Cody, what are the most common things? What are the most common misconceptions that you think people have about their insurance policy, their home insurance policy?
I think a lot of people think that it's a maintenance policy where, things wore out and they should just be able to submit it to the insurance company and they pay it. It's not a maintenance policy. I get a lot of calls about that. People are usually angry by that time that call me and say, well, my roof's worn out and I'm insured. They get a lot of confusion. This is what I see a lot. Is people think their home warranty is an insurance policy. You see that a lot. And I'll say, well, give me your policy. I get a First American home warranty policy, and trying to explain to them. And when you're not a friend or family and you're explaining it to them, you think, well, you're just on their side. You don't want to help me. It's like, no, I do want to help you. I hate being the bearer of bad news. Lately I can tell you that I've seen a lot of two things. One has nothing to do with the Altadena fires, but that's a lot of it is people are underinsured. Get them to review your stuff every year. Prices are going crazy and people just don't, update their stuff. They get the renewal policy. They don't even really look at it. It's really simple to type into, especially with the AI that we have today. Go to Chat GPT. What's the average cost to build a home in the county of Los Angeles, city of Beverly Hills, or this? It's easy. Call Tugboat, right? It's a service. But one of the things that I've been seeing lately, and I don't know why, I've gotten like 3, is people just don't have insurance, and they have forced place policies, or they, are getting a lot of people are getting canceled and then just not doing anything. And it does take, mortgage companies are huge entities. It does take them a while to turn and put a forced place policy. Yeah, there's ways to fix things, get backdated policies and this. But those are only, I have a client right now that I can't in good conscience charge her, but she didn't have insurance. She got canceled because she had too much brush around her house. She fixed it, but never called them. She just thought that they would just know, I guess, and maybe send a drone out or something. So we got her a backdated policy, but they're only good up to the mortgage amount. So her mortgage is only $270,000. Her estimate's $420,000. She's never. Yeah. I feel horrible. There's nothing she can do. Take a loan out, I guess. But anyways, those are the things that we've been running into lately that we just can't really help them.
Yeah. Another example we just talked about with underinsurance specifically is renters.
Sorry. Let me finish the thought on that because it's in my head with the guy we just spoke to. The other thing that his agent told him at the end of the conversation was he gave the impression to this homeowner that before you go switch any insurance companies because of what I'm saying to you, come back. I may be able to help with what's going on right now. And he was giving the impression that even though you're underinsured, maybe there's something that I'll be able to do on the back end to get you some more money. And it's like, it's completely wrong. Yeah. Like he's lying. He won't be able to. But I think he wants this insured to keep stepping forward, paying premiums and signing a renewal for the next year of his policy. And so he's saying, hey, just do this. Don't do anything rash. And I'll make sure that you get taken care of.
And we know from working thousands of claims that's just, they have no lever to pull.
Yeah. There's nothing that they get to do as the agent to somehow get you more money that you weren't paying for in coverage. And maybe this is like people do ask this question a lot, even through Tugboat, there's this misconception that maybe the numbers I'm seeing on the page with coverages for me are not finite. Maybe they're not hard numbers. Maybe there are ways that I can just ask for some more coverage, because people will literally ask that. They'll be like, hey, it says I only have $100,000 in ALE coverage, but I'm supposed to have 2 years of coverage. So I'm good, right? Like, since my housing costs $10,000 a month, they're just going to have to extend that further. And it's like, no, Like these numbers that are on this paper are the numbers. There's nothing more that we can work towards getting approved for you here. So
Yeah.
I think that's an important aspect to remember. And you were going to talk about renters insurance. So sorry.
Oh yeah, well, because it's really interesting. Because we were discussing some policies where people will just take whatever the requirement is from their lease. That's like, oh, you must at least cover the deductible, right, with your insurance policy, and that's all they'll send to their insurance broker. Get a policy written that's just for that amount, no underwriting or assessment of what they need, and that's all the policy they have. And then when something happens, it's like, oh wait, I had $5,000 in coverage for all of my things, and it's just like it's a terribly common scenario.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things people need to pay attention to as big change in the industry are sublimits. Water damage, all water damage now. You're seeing sublimits. Sublimits have been in place on Category 3 for a while. AAA does it. A lot more are starting to do it more. You can get endorsements and additional coverages for these things, but people aren't paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in, I worked in title insurance for a while in escrow, and they kind of just say the same thing. Oh, this is your, and I bought a lot of houses, and my wife likes to move. They say, oh, this is your insurance policy. They're all the same. It's like, they're all the same? Really? And so, just review it. I mean, there's lots of limits on water. I seen one the other day. It was 5. One was 25 on water damage. So just read it. It's all on the deck page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't rely on your agent to be able to read it, because they don't understand what's what. But there's lots of people out there that can help you, and that's the purpose of this, right? To educate people. So,
I don't rely so heavily on the deck page because the deck page doesn't tell you what triggers those things, So as a consumer, if you can't give me the jacket to peruse, I'm not giving you my business. Like I'm not.
It's
knowing what I
insane
know.
how hard it is to get that
You couldn't
jacket.
get it. You couldn't.
We
get
talked
it.
about it before. My insurance carrier is Progressive, and in buying that policy, and I settled for them. I'm actually working on changing. They're okay, but I basically
you adjusted for them.
Well, no, I settled on.
Oh,
them,
and get
yeah,
them,
like
yeah.
it wasn't my first choice, but it was something that they could write for me right then and there. And I asked them for the policy jacket prior to purchasing it. I told him I was comparing a couple of policies, and he's like, I don't know how to get this to you. They generate the policy when you sign up. It doesn't exist until you sign up. I can't give it to you. And I'm just saying, what do you mean? Like, how is it that I can't compare the language? And he's like, I can't, like, I do not have it. I cannot get it. You can't have it. The only copies I have people's names on them. And until I have one with your name on it, I can't give it to you.
It's just weird too, because all the policies say the same thing. It's the deck page that makes it unique. So just have one electronic copy in your office, and you should be able to send, of each version, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's different, but they just don't know. I had a claim the other day, just word of advice. It was a condensation line that got clogged on an AC unit.
Well, those babies out.
Yeah, it was denied on water that back up from a drain. And I kept telling him I wasn't representing him. I said, if you can give me the policy. His agent sent him the deck page 3 times with the endorsements. He called the insurance company. They wouldn't send it to him, said you have to go through the agent. And he was getting frustrated with me. And I said, look, I'm not going to retain you and then just to get your policy and then tell you that, because it does say they don't cover for backup from a drain, but there's always language. You're right. You have to look at the jacket.
Yeah, read it. Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah.
He could not get it. And he kept telling, and I would type him, this is what as we're saying, you want the original policy, not the endorsements in the deck page. And the agents just didn't know. They go, this is it. And they kept saying, tell your attorney he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I sent him a policy, and I said, look, this is a policy at 70 pages. This is your policy with this carrier. This is a policy of the carrier. You're sending me something that's 8 pages.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this isn't I don't know how to explain to you. I said, where's the insuring agreements? Let's just start there. But they don't know anything, so they don't understand what I'm asking. And I don't want to get involved to talk to the agent. So
So, I mean, maybe explore a little bit why that is. Like, why is it different than, I mean, a lot of salespeople don't know everything about the product that they're selling. I'm trying to think, like a car salesman probably knows something a little bit more about the car that you're buying from them. Maybe not everything, but you could open the hood and look at it with them, right?
Mhm.
You can
Well, I think what you're doing right now, because you're calling an agent a salesperson,
they're a
and like
salesperson. Yeah.
that's the only distinction. They're a salesperson,
Yeah.
and they know enough that they need to know to sell policies.
Yeah. They do have to be licensed to know about insurance policies, but like why is it, what is at the core of that? Like, why don't agents know more about policies? Why is it, I know I have an answer for this, but like explore, why is it that your adjuster, that we feel like, hey, we have actually some better insights than you're getting from your agents. You're not getting any insights from them most likely, but yeah, why is this so poorly educated and informed to policyholders? Is it because for every insurance company it's impossible to find the information? Is it because they're too stupid to understand it if they did read it? Like what's at the core of that? Why don't many agents and brokers understand this stuff more, or at least inform people more, or have access to this? What is it?
They go to sales meetings, guys. They don't go to insurance meetings, that coverage meetings. They go to sales meetings. That's all. They're just trying to sell. They don't know. I think that the carriers that they sign up for think that the less is more. The less you know, the better. Just be your relationship people.
It's difficult, right? Because on the one hand, like we know like the continuing education requirements and stuff, and then we know that the information's available. And there's, I mean, and I really like, I don't love this, like even like the way this conversation is going, because we're frustrated because we're like, oh, you're selling something that has real like financial impact for people. And like, you have a duty and an obligation to take care of these people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's like we trend towards like, oh, now we're like kind of disparaging agents. And it's like, it's not that. It isn't that. It's just the incentives and like what's important and like what in practice. I mean, with any job, right? You might get trained. I'll give you an example. In a former life, I was a ultrasound inspector. I did ultrasound inspections, and in your training,
not on people.
No, industrial. I did ultrasound and infrared. I inspected wind turbine blades, and in doing that, to get licensed and educated and to be able to get all the certifications that I needed to do that, there was a lot of, trigonometry and theory around how it worked. But then in practice, all of that became not the thing that I used in my day-to-day work, and therefore became utterly irrelevant. There wasn't consequences for me in that instance because it was irrelevant. But there are scenarios where, like, let's say a blade that I approved failed in the field, and I got called to testify that I did my job appropriately. Now they would be calling into question all of these things that I was supposed to know, maintain, and understand.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have. And I mean, there's obviously that breaks down that comparison a little bit. But I think what happens is when your job is selling policies and this stuff doesn't get called to task, and it's not something that you have to answer for as far as understanding coverage in your day-to-day work, it's just naturally going to erode from something that you know.
Just think about this, like the issues that we're talking about. Let's talk about the one of underinsurance, which is a crisis, right? There's been enough investigation around this that there is a crisis of underinsurance at minimum in California, because that's where the investigation was done with some of the largest carriers out here. For 95, maybe more % of an agent's book of business, that issue will never rear its head.
Yeah,
right?
It gets revealed in total loss scenarios.
I think this is part of it. Like for the vast majority of people, maybe I even go back to my analogy of a car salesman. If you sell someone a bad car, right, or like a car that's worthless or worth less, a lot less than what someone expected, it's going to get exposed at some point, right? It's like, oh, this is going to break down. It's going to need more work than you expect, whatever it might be. Like that will expose itself. For an insurance policy, it only has to perform once you have a claim. Only 5% of people have a claim every year. And what percentage of those are catastrophic? It's really, really small. So when it does rear its head, it's a crisis and it ruins people's financial lives at that time. But for the vast majority of agents and their book of business, they never have to come up with this. And so they're not called to task, most of them ever, right, on this specific issue. Or and if they were, maybe it's one of their clients now. But imagine your book of business was the Altadena area. I mean, there's a State Farm office that burned down in the middle of Altadena that I'm sure was like had hundreds of clients from around there that were insured by it. So yeah, I think it is unique. I think it certainly is what you're talking about, right? Like they learn some of these as concepts. They don't actually have to put them into practice for a long time. And as us as adjusters, all we're doing is seeing people during their time of crisis, right? We only interact with insurance policies when it actually super matters. Yeah. We don't care about what they paid in premiums. We don't even know what people paid in premiums. All right. And it's irrelevant to us. It's only what is the coverage, what is the contract language that was here. So any other things that we should touch on there? So I'll give maybe a couple of quick hits on things that people misunderstand about their policies. One is mold coverage, right? A quick explanation of that. People think that when they say they have mold coverage, I mean, this is a question I get asked every couple of weeks.
Because there's a section in your policy labeled.
Yeah, you have mold coverage, right? Which means that someone thinks that when they find mold, they should file a claim and they're going to have coverage for it. And it's certainly not that.
It is the opposite.
It is the opposite of that. It's like you're not. And so what are some other quick hits that people don't understand what their coverage means? We don't even have to dive into details of what the right understanding of mold coverage is. People can ask us if they want to.
Let me ask you this, Cameron, before you move off of mold. When are you saying that they apply the mold coverage?
So mold coverage
limits. Let's say limits.
Yeah. So
it's funny because like that is what it is. It's a limit.
So mold coverage. This is how home insurance policies worked, and we just dove into this 2 weeks ago. I think on our last office hour, maybe the one before that. We looked at policies from 4 different carriers and looked at how their language varied from one policy to another. But generally, your home insurance policy says mold is excluded in your policy. We do not pay for any mold damage or remediation. So that's what your policy says. And then if you have mold coverage, it adds it back in as an additional endorsement and says, this is going to replace the previous language. And it's going to say, we will pay for mold damage up to this limited amount, usually $5,000 or $10,000, if that mold damage was caused by a covered loss, essentially, right? So that means you had water damage that wasn't going on for more than 14 days and that caused mold to grow, or you had a fire or a leak and that overlapped with some old mold damage and now you have to have some mold remediation done just to make the repairs that are necessary. Like you're having to.
You just outlined a very tough argument to make, though.
Oh, but
I know.
I mean, that one.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So let's say I have a worn out pipe. Pipe wears out, floods my house, and I'm on vacation for 4 days, and I come back, my house is flooded, and there's $100,000 in actual water damage and $50,000 in mold, and I have a mold limit of $5,000. What's going to be paid on that claim? Right?
I mean, those are the questions that end up happening, and the carrier will
$105,000.
Okay, but let's say that my house catches on fire and I have $200,000 in fire damage. The firefighters come and spray water on the house, and unaffected areas have mold. It's $50,000 in mold damage. What's going to be paid on that one?
That would be $50,000 if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
A lot of people don't know that. And you're seeing insurance companies that have a covered peril that are limiting the mold damage because it's got a limit, and you can't do that. You nailed it. That's exactly the right. So, we have to get into when people are calling complaining about mold, what caused them. What's so funny?
Yeah, we were just joking.
I'm just proud of myself. Right. I'm proud of myself. I got your test right.
Pop quiz.
Well, I would have lied on camera, then said, "Hey, man." No, it's about when do these certain languages and stuff apply, right? So,
Yeah.
My son, he's a public adjuster, and he has a claim, and I'm not big on naming the carriers, but it was about $180,000 water loss, and there was mold. They found some mold behind the cabinets, and how much it was confirmed. There was no disputing that it was about 160 to 180,000 of water damage, and there was no disputing that there was mold damage of about 15,000. That entire claim was paid $5,000.
Because they tried to say that all of it was mold damage.
Yep. Oh, you got mold? Oh, here you go, $5,000. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of educating these insurance companies on their own policy, going, hey, we're not making a mold claim yet. We just want to make a claim for water. It's like, it doesn't matter, there's mold. It's like, yeah, but I'm not making a claim for, last week my radio was stolen. I'm not making a claim for that either. So, let's focus on what I am making a claim for, which is the water damage.
Yeah.
And you have to break it up like that for these people. And you see a lot of it on category 3, where some companies will limit $5,000 for category 3. If I have my toilet overflow, right? Let's say that I get a blockage for whatever. Let my wife use the toilet and blocked it, and then I'm taking a shower, because I would never block the toilet, and flood the whole bottom of the house, right? And it's sewage water because it's coming up from the toilet. It's all sewage, and it ruins my floor.
That's category 2.5. That's not category 3.
Yeah. So, but my point is they're coming up and saying, "Oh, it's sewage water. Oh, here's your check for $5,000." And it's like, well, no, this is $100,000 in water damage, regardless of what category it was. My floor buckled and it's damaged. So, you're talking about, what's covered and when, what we're insured for. The carrier adjusters don't even know half the time what's covered.
And I honestly, it's become so confusing with some policies, particularly farmers insurance policies. Like, they have so many overlapping endorsements and language that it can be legitimately be hard to decipher what should apply here. How would I apply this if I needed to? This is my cynical take on where insurance companies would want their policies to sit now, is that they want their insurance contract to allow them to cover the claims that they want to cover in the moment. Meaning
just moving it completely discretionary, so that there's always an exclusion that they can point to.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
which allows it, like, they can adjust for a storm. Well, at the storm, we're going to now apply this endorsement. Or in California, we're going to apply this water damage endorsement that allows us to deny this here. And it's hard because it's like, maybe there's an argument that should apply, but you're not applying it everywhere, and it shouldn't apply in this scenario. But it becomes so obscure that it almost is like they want to always have an argument that there is an exclusion that could apply, so that at their discretion, like I said.
Well, I mean, the mere fact that all peril policies name every peril is already just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was making a joke, all peril. It used to be called all risk. You've heard the term all risk, right? And it's funny because it's almost like you want to call it a no risk policy because nothing's covered anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. And so anyways.
Yeah. I do want to be for anyone listening, I want to be careful. Your insurance policy covers a lot. And generally what we're doing is trying to ensure that you are getting and advocating for that coverage that you are owed. But policies are written in such a way now where they have made it more difficult to make those arguments oftentimes.
That's really important. Yeah. Because there's a sentiment out there that's like, what's the point of even having insurance? It's
Yes.
like, you absolutely need insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance is one of the greatest inventions of all time.
Yeah.
You need insurance.
And I think there's a lot of people that have taken advantage of insurance over the years, and having entire houses, have new floors because you dropped a can of potatoes and dented your floor, right, with a pre-finished floor. And at one time that was covered, and insurance companies are paying to have entire homes re-floored, right, because someone dropped a pot on the floor and so I understand.
I mean, it fits, right? You do have to then go modify the policy, because that would be a sudden accidental direct physical loss, and if they couldn't fix it, well, then you can't fix it.
Yeah, I had a loss years ago, and it was when I first started being an advocate, and the adjuster was kind of being a jerk. 'Cause the PAs weren't really popular back in the day. There wasn't a lot of them, so when you ran into one, you were really irritated. So I was an IA too, and so anyways, it wasn't quite. He wasn't saying it my way, and there was a cold air return vent that had fallen at some point, put this little pencil size divot in the floor, and I had to replace the entire floor just because he pissed me off. And I always think about, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but anyway, he was being a jerk, so I said, well, I can get you to replace the whole floor. So yeah, but again, we're talking about, being aware of what's covered. It's really hard when you're right. The agent doesn't know what's covered, and half the time the adjuster doesn't know what's covered. Kevin, you and I are working a job where the mitigation company missed some moisture, right? And you guys went and had it tested a couple weeks later, and he says, "Oh, are you telling me that the water's been present for over a period of 2 weeks?" And you're like, "Yeah, your guys missed it." "Oh, that's not covered." It's like, no, that's an ensuing damage, not a cause of loss. And they don't understand the difference. So who do you ask? You Tugboat, or there's, maybe, I don't know if there's any other service that'll give advice on it, on coverages and stuff. We always do, but we're very limited on what we do. The first thing we do is we say, here's a copy of every time I meet a client, I want to see a copy of your deck page and policy if you have it. 9 times out of 10, they have the deck page, but not that. But you're right. We're talking about making sure you have the right coverage. Well, there is some case law that says insurance policies are so complicated that the layperson doesn't understand it. So why even read it? There should be no duty to read it because they're very complicated.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. That's kind of crazy. Before we finish up on this note, I just sent you a redacted denial letter on a claim that we've talked about before. And I think it's a good example. This is when I'm going to actually been posting about it on LinkedIn a little bit. I need to make sure it's fully redacted before I put it on there. But I'll give the context real fast, and we can finish today's office hours talking about this a little bit. So for the context, this is a wildfire claim. This home was heavily affected by smoke that had lead in it. This test was tested by the insurance company's testing company and confirmed that the house was contaminated with lead throughout. One of the things that the testing company recommended with their industrial hygienist was that the ducts in the air conditioning needed to be assessed by a vendor and likely needed to be cleaned. And so the insurance company, there was a recommended vendor for the HVAC through the insurance company. That vendor came and said, yes, these ducts certainly need to be cleaned of the lead, but they're really old and we can't clean them. It's going to tear them apart. And we recommend that they have to get replaced because they are affected with lead. We cannot clean them. The lead's from they're not making this argument, but they're saying that they can't clean them. Therefore, if you want to get the lead out of there, they're going to have to get replaced. So the homeowner sent an estimate from that HVAC company. I think it was like $9,000 to replace the ducts. And the insurance company sent the denial letter that I just sent to you. So I'm going to read the pertinent portion. I don't want to share it on here because people won't be able to read it. It'll be too small anyways. And they said they received the request for the HVAC ductwork. And I'm going to read this. So you provided an estimate from this vendor for the replacement of all ductwork in the home. We contacted them and were advised that they recommended all the ducting in the home be replaced due to the condition of the ducts and due to the accumulation of debris in and around the ducts from prior repairs to the home. They advised us that they determined they would not be able to clean the ducts due to the condition of the ducts and the unrelated debris in the ducts. Unfortunately, wear and tear is not covered, and the accumulation of debris from prior repairs to the home is not related to this loss. We are not able to approve the replacement of the ducts. Furthermore, we are advised by this vendor that their estimate was provided to you on this date, and you requested this extension on this date, so it doesn't matter.
But what's interesting there, because that is a very valid reason to deny replacing the ducts if that were an accurate representation of the situation.
Exactly. So I want to give an example of when this would be a really valid reason to get this denial letter, at least in my opinion. Say that this homeowner...
Well, you don't even have to. It's right there. They implied that the reason for the repair was the presence of old unrelated debris.
Yeah, so I'm saying so if this homeowner called them and said, hey, there was no wildfire or anything like that. And
Yeah.
said, hey, I wanted to get my ducts clean. My house smells really dusty. I had this HVAC company out. They said they can't clean them. They need to replace them. And they made a claim for replacing their ducts. This would be the denial letter I would expect that they get, right? This acknowledges in no way what this adjuster absolutely knows, which is that they have to be cleaned according to the industrial hygienist's report. So, anyways, I'll be calling this adjuster shortly after we get.
Yeah, we'll
off
hang
this.
up here and then we'll deal with this.
I'll work. I would be more than happy to work that one with you.
So tell me, you can open up and read that section if you wanted to, Cody, but you educate us, anyone watching this, or maybe we'll be able to post this one later. So tell us why is this denial, if it is improper, why is this improper?
Just the ductwork.
Yeah,
Just
that's
the
all.
ductwork.
That's all we're talking
Don't worry about the rest of it. The rest of it's
ALE,
obviously.
none of that. We're not talking about it.
Well, it's two issues. A pre-existing infirm condition doesn't have anything to do with coverage, right? So you insured it as an insurance company. You insured that in that condition and gave the peace of mind to the insured that if anything were to happen, that ductwork would be covered. And you're saying based on the condition of the wear and tear, number one, wear and tear is not the cause of loss, right? Smoke is.
Yep.
That means that the wear and tear is not a cause of loss, and you only exclude wear and tear when it's a cause, right?
Yep.
And here, that's not the cause. So the cause is smoke, and that is simply a pre-existing infirm condition. And there's case law that says a pre-existing infirm condition does not negate coverage when the efficient proximate cause of the damage is a covered peril. So, and you see that in Hal v. State Farm and Brooks v. Metropolitan Life, where it says, hey, you insured it in this condition. We see this with roofs a lot, right? Like I have an appraisal right now, and they had a skylight, and some of the subdeck is rotted out, and the roofer says we have to replace just a portion. It's like 3 sheets, and the other appraiser is saying no, they don't owe for wear and tear. It's like no, but you owe for the damage from the fire, which included the roof, and in order to install this roof, you have to replace it, just like a code, right?
Yeah.
The same as a code issue.
Well, it
But
is a code issue because it's nailable surface is required by code. So.
Yeah, absolutely right. And nailable surface and fire code. The old roof is also an issue with fire code on Title 24 and all that. So it's a 3-tab, which you can't use anymore, I guess. I just learned that on this roof. So, but back on your issue, the wear and tears exclusion is for what? If someone were to call and say, hey, I went to have my ductwork cleaned, and they said they can't clean it because it's worn out. I need my ductwork replaced. Well, what's the cause of the issue, right? Wear and tear. They don't cover, and that's the intent of the wear and tear. I have wood floors in my house, and some of them are worn out and pretty exposed. That's wear and tear. That's insurance companies don't want to cover maintenance, which is the wear and tear. And they're using that wear and tear exclusion as to negate coverage. I've seen them say, like, hey, we don't owe you for a reasonable uniform appearance on the floor because that portion of the floor has worn out and discolored over time. And had that not happened, this new piece of wood would match everything else. So that's how they're trying to get away from paying for continuous flooring. And it's getting to be such an extreme,
That's
right?
clever, though. I kind of love it.
Yeah. So, and that's a real case. That's not something that I made up. And I'm just going, wow. I seen some people the other day, some adjusters try and say the same thing. We don't owe for reasonable uniform appearance because it says we only pay for the direct physical damage, and they're citing endorsements. So it's almost like they're just using the wording to try and find reasons not to cover. But let's stay on topic. On that duct work, that wear and tear isn't the cause, and I don't know how to dumb it. I was talking to my mom the other day and explaining something to her, and I forget exactly what we were talking about. And I said, Mom, she did insurance since 1967. I said, you don't understand. Your brain won't let you dumb this down enough to get what they're trying to say here. And I was trying to think of what he was trying to say and what I was laughing with her about. But I can't remember. But it was just along the same lines. And it's the same thing. Unless it's the exclusions are for causes of loss only, right?
Yeah.
Wear, tear, faulty workmanship, all that other stuff. I've seen them try and say, well, you have a wood floor that's damaged and the wood floor goes underneath the cabinets. And then their contractor will come out and say, well, you're not supposed to install wood floor underneath cabinets, and that's faulty workmanship. It's done. So they say, oh, we're not going to touch the cabinets. That's faulty workmanship. So we're not making a claim for faulty workmanship. We're making a claim for the water damage that you said was covered. And that's a pre-existing condition that you insured it in. And that's my big thing. You'll see someone you were talking about earlier has a bunch of roof claims, and they're saying it's the same thing along these lines. And they're saying they're sending out the same engineer. We can all guess which one it is. It's the new hot ticket in town. And they're saying, yes, all these roofs have wind damage, but the wind wouldn't have caused any damage had the roofs not been worn out already. So they're denying them on wear and
I
tear.
love that they're getting that on paper, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was the argument I was going to bring up. So let me reiterate that to anyone that doesn't notice that because I wanted to share that one. I saw that one on LinkedIn as well. Engineers are saying that had your roof not been older, it would not have gotten wind damaged. Therefore, wear and tear or deterioration is the cause of loss, which is so funny because the argument that we've used for a long time is there's wind damage to this roof. The rest of it around this area can't be repaired because it's old in its condition and therefore needs to get replaced. That condition is not the cause. They're trying to pull that condition, further back in the claim. Like, oh, there was already.
And it's interesting, like the way that, this is going to vary state by state. And California is a little weird with the efficient proximate cause because it does introduce this like element of
what's the most
what's the
important cause here.
And so like I think that it might stick. The courts are jerks.
Yeah, I know. In the wrong court and the wrong judge, that someone may just win that argument, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to underwrite it during the claim.
Post claims underwriting. We're getting it tattooed on my arm next week. Yeah, that way I can talk about it more often. Cool. We're just about out of time, but Cody, I'll definitely be talking with you about this denial letter a little bit more. I'll let you know how the phone call with the adjuster goes. You know what was funny? I posted about this claim, and I don't post about specific claims that often on LinkedIn. I'm not unwilling to. People get mad. I didn't realize how mad people would get, but this time when I did it on LinkedIn, some people were like, "You shouldn't talk about specific claim issues on here. You should just talk about them more broadly," which is hilarious because if I post about a generic issue, they'll be like, "This isn't specific enough. You can't generalize about claims." And so on this one, I posted like these specific details about this HVAC issue, and some people were like, "You shouldn't be getting this specific about a claim." I'm like, well, can't please everybody or anybody sometimes. And then, but there were a handful, credit to a couple of independent adjusters that are like, this should absolutely be covered. Like and then there were a lot of people on the carrier side that were like, we have to see the policy language. And I understand you want to see a policy language to know whether or not something should be covered.
How about you take my word for it that the policy?
Well, but beyond that, what I asked every single one of them, like, fair enough. You want to see that I haven't been sent the denial letter, so I don't know what policy language they're going to utilize when they officially did. Now I have. But I said, what policy language have you seen? What wear and tear exclusion have you seen that would exclude this damage? And like, have you ever, and nobody could name anything before. Nobody, like there is no example of wear and tear that could have been named. But I'm going to post this. I'm going to copy and paste some of this denial in there. That way people can read and they're going to be even more mad because I'm getting even more specific about
But they can't do anything about it. You can be as mad as you want.
The thing is too, the it's like they're pre-denying it because it's not actually worn or torn. Like it's not actually damaged.
Oh, that's interesting, right? Yeah, it's functioning right now.
Yeah.
They're not making a claim to their insurance company saying I want to replace my old ductwork. They're saying
because it's damaged.
Yeah, they're just saying my HVAC company won't clean it because it's uncleanable. That's hilarious. That what they're saying.
Because if you, and it's honestly even this. If you submitted a claim for the replacement of the ducts based on the scenario they outlined, their denial would actually be there's no accident, like debris. The presence of debris is not damage.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the denial.
That's really interesting. Yeah, they wouldn't.
They had to paint this like backwards weird scenario to try to reframe the story so that they could justify a denial.
Yeah.
That's
And
not the
then-
first time we've seen them do
Well,
that.
speaking of that, they try to put language in the policy before that says for roofs, we cover wind. However, if any other excluded cause of loss contributes in any way toward in damaging the home, then it won't be covered. So they're saying, and they kept saying, well, no, the roof's worn out. It's 2 years old. It's worn, So there's actually case law that says you can't say it's covered unless an excluded event contributes. And the court even said that would allow, we're just going to talk about roofs, that would allow an insurance company to deny every roof claim, even if wear and tear or age contributed 1%
Yep.
to the issue. But they're going right back, and it's like a big circle. They'll try things and then they get told not to, then they don't do it for a while. Now they're doing it again. And
People are getting hurt along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate, and I can end on this note too. Part of the reason this claim in particular that I've been talking about for a moment here that we've been going over, this denial, is so frustrating to me. This was a tugboat user. That this should not be an issue that they couldn't, and maybe they could get through this on their own, but before this issue came up, you can see how exhausted someone becomes when they keep hitting walls like this and have to try and become an expert to get over these types of denials. And so this homeowner, this wasn't the first ridiculous thing that they had been denied by their insurance company, and they had even overcome some issues previously. But eventually, when this issue hadn't even come up yet, with some previous ones came up, they're like, we can't do it anymore. And they literally went to Tugboat and said, like, please, please, please let us talk to a public adjuster if you have one. I happen to live in the area, and so I was willing to take this one on. But it's
egregious.
But it's so like I'm saying this as the public adjuster who is signed for a fee on this claim. I didn't want to have to take it. One, I told him, I was like, I think you should keep fighting with Tugboat, but I understand if you don't want to advocate for yourself anymore, I'm happy to step in and help you out and try and come to a settlement. And so, and then now me being here, it's frustrating for me, but this is what we deal with all the time. They should not have had to sign a fee agreement with a public adjuster to give a percentage of their claim to overcome issues that are this basic and elementary, right? And I may still be unsuccessful with this. Insurance companies can be so unreasonable that an issue as egregious as this one, they could just keep saying no. And in that instance, Cody, I'm going to be calling you, right? And what's going to happen then, they will have had to work with the public adjuster and assign my fee. And then if it becomes so egregious that a lawsuit needs to get filed, whether it's Cody or somebody else, and they want to bring in an attorney just to get coverage, it's like, well, now you have an attorney's fee because now they have to take on the risk of this claim, all because an insurance company is going to put up these repeated over and over walls that someone has to get over. And they never, ever should have to go through this much of a battle for basic elementary issues. And I think this is why I was talking to an adjuster today. People are getting exhausted as public adjusters, as attorneys on the plaintiff side. They're getting exhausted and like just kind of throwing their hands up and giving up because they're saying it's become too much of a battle, right? I don't have the time to spend. I mean, this issue alone, this is a $9,000 dispute. It's not worth.
No,
it's not worth.
It's insane.
It's a $9,000 dispute. So like unless an attorney is going to do a favor for them, can you prove bad faith with it? Probably not.
Are they going to win? Like it's such and they know this. They know there's no recourse for them, and there's no recourse for the policyholder to get help in most of these situations. It's why we exist. It's why we're helping people the way they are. But yeah, it's insanity.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are out of time. Cody, thanks for jumping on. I'm excited that you were here.
Thank you. I love it. I just got a little overwhelmed and inundated for a while, Well,
that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
And for the mother-in-law, and so things were slowed down for that. So we're back. We're back.
Perfect. Rachel, thanks for being here. If you been there already, go to tugboat.claims. That's where you can learn about what we do. Shaver Legal is Cody Shaver's law firm. Is it shaverlegal.com?
Yep.
That's good. I remembered. Rachel's one of our claim support professionals at Tugboat. She leads our claim support team there and does an amazing job. If you have any questions about your claim, questions about your policy, what endorsements might not be there, what should you be thinking about and considering when it comes to these important coverages when it comes to claims, just drop a question in there. We don't have every answer, but we probably have the questions that you could be asking to your agent to get clarity on if other coverages are available, if there's language that you can get added to that to help make sure that you have what you need. So anyways, we will see you next Wednesday at 3:00 Pacific Standard Time for our next office hours. Thanks, everybody.
Night night.
Good night.